Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, watching the sprawling enemy armada through the tactical display. 300 hegemony warships hung in space like a swarm of metallic locusts, their sleek hulls gleaming with the arrogance of 1,000 conquered worlds. Behind them, the blue jewel of Kepler 442b burned, humanity's first successful colony beyond Sol, now reduced to ash and radiation. "Still no response to our hails, Admiral," reported Communications Officer Martinez, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. Chen nodded grimly. It was exactly what she had expected. The galactic hegemony had spent the last 50 years treating humanity like an amusing curiosity, a species that had somehow stumbled into faster-than-light travel, despite lacking any of the proper evolutionary markers. No natural psychic abilities, no hive-mind coordination, no energy-based physiology, just stubborn primates with their crude fusion drives and kinetic weapons. The other species found it hilarious. The Zephyrians, with their crystalline bodies that could manipulate gravity itself, had openly laughed during the first contact ceremonies. The Vorthak Collective dismissed humanity as barely sentient tool users in their diplomatic archives. Even the merchant guilds treated human space as a backwater curiosity, useful only for its exotic biological specimens and primitive art. For half a century, humanity had endured the mockery with characteristic stoicism. They attended the Galactic Council meetings, submitted their proposals for membership, and watched as species after species was granted full citizenship while Earth remained in provisional observer status. The galaxy's message was clear. Know your place, children. The hegemony's attack on Kepler 442b was meant to be the final humiliation, a demonstration that humanity's expansion beyond Sol existed only at the galaxy's sufferance. They had broadcast their intentions across every diplomatic channel, making it clear that this was not war, it was pest control. They had expected humanity to plead, to beg for mercy, to finally accept their place as a minor species confined to their birth system. Instead, humanity had gone silent. For 3 months, not a single human vessel had responded to any communication. No distress calls, no diplomatic protests, no surrender offers. The galaxy had interpreted this as the behavior of a wounded animal, crawling away to lick its wounds. The hegemony's propaganda networks had a field day with it. The silent defeat of the ape-men became the most watched documentary in galactic history. But Admiral Chen knew the truth. Humanity hadn't gone silent out of defeat. They had gone silent because they were working. "Admiral," came the voice of her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Reeves. "All fleet elements report ready. Operation Wildfire is go." Chen looked at the display showing humanity's response to 50 years of condescension. 700 ships hung in perfect formation, their hulls scarred and utilitarian, their weapon systems crude by galactic standards. But what the galaxy had failed to understand was that humanity didn't build weapons to impress. They built them to kill. Every ship in Chen's fleet was crewed entirely by volunteers, veterans of the Colonial Defense Forces, merchant marine officers who had lost friends on Kepler 442b, even civilian pilots who had retrofitted their cargo haulers with military-grade weaponry. They represented every human world, every station, every settlement in the Outer Rim, and they had all come for the same reason. The galaxy wanted to see what humanity looked like when it finally spoke up. "Open a channel," Chen ordered. "All frequencies. I want every species in the galaxy to hear this." The bridge fell silent. Across the fleet, 700 ships aligned their communications arrays toward the hegemony formation. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Systems Fleet," she began, her voice carrying across space to every receiver in the galaxy. "For 50 years, you have dismissed us, mocked us, treated us like children playing at civilization. When we asked for recognition, you laughed. When we sought partnership, you condescended. When we demanded respect, you ignored us." She paused, watching as the hegemony ships began to shift formation, finally recognizing that something had changed. 3 months ago, you murdered 4 million human beings on Kepler 442b. You called it a demonstration, a lesson in knowing our place. Chen's voice hardened. Today we're going to teach you what happens when you mistake humanity's patience for weakness. The first salvo erupted from Chen's fleet like a solar flare made manifest. Kinetic kill vehicles, their tungsten cores accelerated to significant fractions of light speed, sleeted across space in streams of deadly precision. The hegemony's energy, shields, designed to deflect the sophisticated plasma weapons favored by most galactic civilizations, proved utterly inadequate against simple, brutal kinetic force. The human doctrine was elegantly simple. If you can't go through the shield, go around it. If you can't go around it, hit it hard enough to break physics. Hegemony ships began dying in brilliant flashes of nuclear fire. Their sleek hulls, designed for intimidation and efficiency, crumpled like foil under the hammer-blow impacts of humanity's crude but devastatingly effective weapons. The galaxy had spent millennia refining their warfare into an art form. Humanity had perfected it into a science. All ships, weapons free, Chen commanded. Show them what human engineering looks like when we stop trying to be polite. The UES Prometheus shuddered as its main gun fired. A massive railgun that could punch holes through small asteroids. Across the fleet, humanity's arsenal spoke in unison. Nuclear-tipped torpedoes, particle beam arrays, and swarms of AI-guided missiles that hunted their targets with the persistence of bloodhounds. The hegemony tried to retreat, but Chen had learned from humanity's greatest strategists. Her ships had positioned themselves in a perfect sphere around the enemy formation. There was nowhere to run. In 17 minutes, it was over. 300 hegemony warships reduced to expanding clouds of debris and radiation. The galaxy's most feared military force had been annihilated by the species they had dismissed as barely evolved primates. Chen opened the channel again, this time addressing not just the hegemony survivors, but every listening post and relay station in the galaxy. For 50 years you wondered what humanity would sound like if we ever found our voice, she said, watching the debris field spread across the tactical display. This is us speaking. We hope you were listening. As the human fleet began its journey home, emergency broadcasts erupted across every galactic network. The age of humanity's silence was over, and the galaxy would never mock them again.